The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, pages 7 through 11. The Dichotomy, Balancing the Challenges of Extreme Ownership. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, our first book. Let's try that again. The Dichotomy, Balancing the Challenges of Extreme Ownership. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Our first book, Extreme Ownership, struck a chord with many readers. The idea that leaders must take ownership, extreme ownership of everything in their world. Everything that impacts their mission has changed the way people view leadership. If mistakes happen, effective leaders don't place blame on others. They take ownership of the mistakes, determine what went wrong, develop solutions to correct those mistakes, and prevent them from happening again as they move forward. Even the best teams and the best leaders never deliver flawless performances. No one can achieve perfection. What makes the best leaders and best teams great is that when they make mistakes, they acknowledge them, take ownership, and make corrections to upgrade their performance. With each iteration, the team and its leaders enhance their effectiveness. Over time, that team runs circles around its competition, particularly against other teams with a culture of excuses and blame casting, where problems never get solved and thus performance never improves. Our 4 laws of combat have helped radically improve the performance of teams and organizations, large and small, across the United States and internationally, in nearly every industry in the business world, as well as military units, police and fire departments, charity organizations, school administrations, and sports teams. The first law of combat, cover and move. This is teamwork. Every individual and team within the team mutually supporting one another to accomplish the mission. Departments and groups within the team, and even those outside the immediate team that are nevertheless crucial to success, must break down silos and work together to win. It doesn't matter if one element within this group does its job. If the team fails, everybody fails. But when the overall team wins, everybody wins. Everyone gets to share in that success. The second law of combat, simple. Complexity breeds chaos and disaster, especially when things go wrong. And things always go wrong. When plans and orders get too complex, the people charged with executing those plans and orders do not understand them. When team members don't understand, they can't execute. Therefore, plans must be simplified so that everyone on the team recognizes the overall commander's intent, the greater purpose behind the mission, and understands their role in achieving mission success. Orders must be communicated in a manner that is simple, clear, and concise. The true test for whether plans and orders have been communicated effectively is this: the team gets it. When the people on the team understand, then they can execute. The third law of combat, prioritize and execute. When multiple problems occur simultaneously, which happens often, taking on too many problems at once results in failure. It is imperative that leaders detach themselves, pull back from the details, and assess to determine the highest priority to the strategic mission. Then, once that highest priority task has been determined, leaders must clearly communicate that priority to the team and ensure the team executes. Then the leaders and the team can move on to the next priority, then the next. Training and proper contingency planning assist greatly to better prepare teams and leaders to most effectively prioritize and execute under pressure in real time. The fourth law of combat, decentralized command. No one leader can manage it all or make every decision. Instead, leadership must be decentralized, with leaders at every level empowered to make decisions, right down to the frontline troopers in charge of no one but themselves and their small piece of the mission. With decentralized command, everyone leads. To empower everyone on the team to lead, team members must understand not just what to do, but why they are doing it. This requires clear and frequent communication up and down the chain of command, and most importantly, trust. Junior leaders must have confidence that they clearly understand this strategic mission, the commander's intent of their boss, and the parameters within which they can make decisions. Senior leaders must trust that their junior leaders will make the right decisions and encourage them to do so. This requires training and frequent communication to implement with maximum effectiveness. There was one big problem with the book, Extreme Ownership, the title. While it drove home the most important leadership foundation in the book, it was also slightly misleading. Extreme ownership is the foundation of good leadership, but good leadership seldom requires extreme ideas or attitudes. In fact, quite the opposite is true. Leadership requires balance. We addressed that concept in Chapter 12 of Extreme Ownership, Discipline Equals Freedom, the dichotomy of leadership. But as we assessed legions of leaders in companies, teams, and organizations as they implemented the principles taught in the book, many struggled to find that balance. The struggle represents the biggest challenge we observed as we trained and advised hundreds of companies and thousands of leaders over the past few years with our leadership consulting company, Echelon Front. In the final chapter of Extreme Ownership, we wrote, "Every leader must walk a fine line. Leadership requires finding the equilibrium in the dichotomy of many seemingly contradictory qualities between one extreme and another. The simple recognition of this is one of the most powerful tools a leader has." With this in mind, the leader can more easily balance the opposing forces and lead with maximum effectiveness. Every behavior or characteristic carried out by a leader can be taken too far. Leaders can become too extreme and upset the balance required to effectively lead a team. When balance is lost, leadership suffers and the team's performance rapidly declines. Even the fundamental principles of combat leadership and extreme ownership can get out of balance. A leader can cover and move too much and step on the toes of other leaders, departments, or divisions. A plan can be too simple and fail to cover likely contingencies. A team can go too far with prioritize and execute, resulting in target fixation. Resulting in target fixation and loss of situational awareness on newly emerging problems and threats. Decentralized command can also be taken too far. When too much autonomy is given to subordinate leaders who then don't fully understand strategic goals and how to execute in support of those goals. And this idea continues on with just about everything a leader does. Leaders must be close with their people, but not so close that it becomes a problem. They must hold the line with discipline, but not become tyrannical. A leader can even become too extreme with extreme ownership. When a leader takes so much ownership of everything in his or her world that members of the team feel there is nothing left for which they can take ownership. When this happens, team members will execute only at the boss's specific direction, without any root ownership or buy-in themselves, resulting in a team far less capable of overcoming obstacles and accomplishing the mission. Therefore, balance in leadership is crucial to victory. It must be monitored at all times, and it must be modulated to specific situations as they arise. If a team member fails to perform adequately, for example, a leader must get down in the weeds and micromanage that member until he or she executes correctly. But once that team member gets back on track and resumes effective performance, the leader must maintain the ability to back off and give that team member room to take greater ownership and manage the tasks on his or her own. It is not easy to maintain the constant shift, continual modulation, and frequent adjustment necessary to balance all the dichotomies across every spectrum of leadership characteristics. Yet this skill is essential for effective leadership. We have observed these struggles continuously in good leaders striving to be better. That is what drove us to go deeper into the concept of the dichotomy of leadership. The goal of this book is to help leaders overcome that struggle through examples of how to find the right balance in leadership. to moderate the idea of leading from the extremes and focus on maintaining balance within teams, among peers, and both up and down the chain of command. Every good leader must develop the ability to recognize, understand, and adjust that balance. While it isn't easy, through knowledge, disciplined practice, and sustained effort, anyone can master finding the equilibrium in the dichotomy of leadership. Those who do will dominate their battlefield and lead their teams to victory.